Hi, my name is Beth Azor, and I own shopping centers in South Florida. And this is my podcast, I Own a Shopping Center, Now What? So today I want to talk to you about showings. I know that some of you hire third-party brokers, but many of you do it yourself, like I do. So I thought I would share with you some of the tips and processes that I take when I'm showing space. So one of the first things I do after I set an appointment with a prospect to show space for, let's say, the next day or that afternoon or in 2 days, I ask them for their cell phone number if for some reason I'm not speaking to them on their cell phone. And I text them a confirmation of the time that we've set to show space. And I reiterate details of the conversation in the text message. For example, thanks for speaking with me today. I understand you want to open a hair salon. I'm excited to show you space on Friday at 2 p.m. This is my cell phone. If your plans change, please reach out to me. And just to reiterate, the rent is $50 a square foot plus 18 in CAM. So monthly, that would be, XYZ. And I look forward to seeing you. So because time is our commodity, right? And if they don't understand that their rent could be $8,000 a month and their budget's $3,000, I want them to cancel that appointment, right? So that's the first thing I do is I just reiterate what we spoke about on the phone and I spell it out so they really understand what $50 plus 18 means in case they don't know. Okay, so then I get to the space. I try to get there 15 to 20 minutes in advance. I unlock the door. I make sure I have the right key. Don't laugh. And then I have a little rubber doorstop. So I open the door and I put the doorstop under the door. And then I go to the back of the space and I open up the back door. So immediately I get some air flowing. And if it smells a little sewery in the space, I go to at one of my vacancies in the property or in the electrical room. If I only have one vacancy, I usually have some bleach and I put bleach down the toilet and flush the toilet so that it doesn't have that sewery smell. And then I make sure there's no roaches at the front door. And if I have the lights are on, if I have the utilities, if I'm paying for the utilities, that's a very controversial topic. I like to pay for the utilities because what I do is I turn on the utilities and vacancies at night, and especially if it's next to a restaurant. And I don't leave them on for 4 days in a row, but I might leave them on 2 days in a row, and then we'll turn them off, and then we'll put them on in another vacancy. And it just kind of highlights the vacancies for people that might be at the shopping center at night, eating at the sushi restaurant and walking down the plaza, and then they can look in. I don't put paper in the windows. By the way, in my leases, it says that if a tenant signs a lease, this is a side note. If a tenant signs the lease, they're not allowed to put brown paper in the windows. They have to put black visqueen. Black visqueen looks much better in a vacant window than brown paper. But anyway, for me, all my vacancies are clean. All of yours should be clean. And so I don't have any paper in my vacant windows because I want prospects or the community to walk by and look in the vacant windows and see, oh, this is a wide open space. Oh, this has slat wall. Oh, this is a former restaurant. So I keep my vacancies open. I don't cover them with paper. Okay, so I prop up the door with a rubber doorstop. I turn on the lights. I always have some flyers in the space so that the people can grab it, or I hand that to them. But I always have them in the space just in case maybe I'm not there. Maybe if I'm traveling and I want to show the space, I have maintenance guys show up and then there's flyers inside the space. I make sure to flush the toilet and make sure it doesn't smell like a sewer. I make sure there are not roaches on the floor. What else? I think that's about it. And then when they come and I show them the space, I try to give them time. I may walk out front, especially with their partners. I want them to walk around and talk about the space. So I just say, I literally excuse myself and say, I'll be right back, because I want them to have some private time in the space to talk about the space. So those are my, if it's a space that I don't have a lot of these kind of spaces, but maybe some of you do, where maybe it's a old medical office and it's 3,000 square feet and there's 20 different little spaces, I for sure would have my flashlight ready if I didn't have the utilities turned on, so that when I'm walking through the space, the people could see. I could use my big ass flashlight to show them inside all of the individual rooms. If you don't have the utilities on and you have a space like that and you have a female leasing agent, I highly recommend that the female leasing agent has someone with them when she shows space, especially if it's with a male prospect that she doesn't know a lot about. I don't want a female leasing agent walking through 3,000 square foot space with 20 different private offices alone. So that's a PSA. So make sure that she has a maintenance guy with her or someone from her company to accompany her so she's not alone in a vacant space with a prospect. So those are my tips for showing space. And then when the prospect leaves, after me showing them the space, I usually send them a text again. Thank you for coming in and seeing the space. Just to reiterate, this is what we spoke about. It just always helps to clarify things and make sure everyone's on the same page, understanding the terms of the deal that we've discussed. I discussed a 2-month security, first month's rent, we'll do the earlier of opening or 90 days. I just put everything we spoke about in a text message to them, and that way they have it. And then if they're interested and I say, okay, the next step is the financial package, and I'm happy to send it to you now or whenever you want, whenever you want it. And they usually say, yeah, go ahead and send it to me. So I go ahead and I have 2 different financial packages. One, if it's a startup, and one, if it's an ongoing business. And depending on the situation, I will send them that applicable financial package. And then, we'll see if they fill that out. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions, please DM me. If you like the podcast, share it, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. And I'll talk to you next week.